What is poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the Capital City Supporters Group YouTube channel. Yes, Brandon and I are back, and today we have a special guest with us. But before we get to this lovely man, we're here for the draft special. The draft has finally been announced. Thursday, January 20th, 8 p.m. You can watch it on One Soccer YouTube, Canadian Premier League YouTube. It's also my birthday, so Atletico Ottawa gives me a surprise that day with a good player. Who knows? Brandon, want to tell us how the draft's going to happen?
Yeah, so as Eddie said, we are your co-MDOs, and we do have a special guest here. But the draft going down on Thursday, there's going to be a few changes this year. So Ottawa has the first overall pick in the draft, so they get the pick from every single player who declared for the draft. There's over 150 players who declared, so they are looking to pick someone who can really change their team's fortunes this year.
Yeah, for sure. And now to introduce our guest, host of the Stepover podcast, arguably the best soccer podcast in Ottawa. Sorry, soccer snobs.
Arguably.
What?
Arguably.
I think we're number two, but snobs, we're coming for you.
Yeah, you know, it's a tight race, you know, tight race for the top two.
It's tight, yeah.
But Josh Lemoine, how's it going, buddy?
Doing well, thank you. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm excited for the draft. Finally, we have this thing to talk about. I mean, I know us three, we've been focusing on youth sports this year, especially you. So how do you feel about the draft rules changing and the CPL allowing more players to enter, and now we have over 150 players who are eligible to be drafted for 2 rounds only?
I think it's fantastic, and honestly, getting prepared for this, one thing that became incredibly obvious was just the number of quality players. We've got 2 rounds. It's not enough. There is so much talent, and there's only 2 rounds of 8 picks each, and it's not enough. We need more rounds. We need to see more of these players getting chances at the CPL.
100%. So how the draft's going to work, there'll be 2 rounds. Each team chooses twice. So 16 players will be chosen. Now, we are obviously doing this video on the Capital City Supporters Group, which is the biggest, best supporters group for Atletico Ottawa. So this video has to be made to focus on Atletico Ottawa. So what we did, we each chose 5 players that Atletico Ottawa should draft to help the team. That makes 15. And the last player is a player that we all agreed on, who Atletico Ottawa would love to take, who he would love to take. But we're just going to start it off. Brandon, the floor is yours. Who are your 5 players Atletico Ottawa should take, and tell us more about them?
So I've selected 5 players based solely on Atletico Ottawa's needs. So right now, we have a few players already confirmed back. We have the likes of Drew Becky, Ben McKendry, Chris Manella, 2 big guys up top being Brian Wright and Malcolm Shaw, which we can't get enough of, Zach Verhoeven, as well as Miguel Acosta. So right now, there are some obvious holes that we need to fill, being in the goalkeeping spot, more center backs to go alongside Drew Becky if we choose to play 5 at the back, and we could also use a different looking midfielder to complement the likes of Chris Manella and, as I said before, Ben McKendry. So the first area I'm looking at is actually someone who's able to play on one of the sides if we play 5 at the back for center back. So for my pick, I decided to go for a center back who can play fullback, is available to go in those wide areas if they get pulled out. And that player is Khamad from your Carlton Ravens. So Khamad, he is one of very few players in this draft, if there are any others, who actually has a cap to his name. And before you guys come at me, no, he's not captain for Canada, obviously, but he is of Saudi Arabian descent. He's played at the U23 level, and he has experience that not many other guys have. So right now, if we are to get a center back, I'm looking towards him. Of course, he does play for Carlton, local, and that would be a great pick because he brings something we don't have in defense, because obviously we don't have defense. But going on to my second pick, I'm going to stick with the defense. And this might shock Eddie. I don't think he's ready for this one. I'm going with the Raphael Garcia. Big shocker. There are some things with Raphael Garcia that you love to see. His positioning, his flat tackles, he's always getting the ball. I think he's got only one yellow card during this season, which is incredible. But the only thing about him, which I would like to see more of, is him going forward. His decision-making with the ball, it still needs to develop, but he's already played for Valor. And in the inaugural season, he put up 16 matches, which is amazing for someone who's pretty young at that point. So I think he would be perfect cover to someone like Zach Verhoeven. He does offer something a bit different. He's more defensively solid. So when we're going up against teams such as like Forge, who now are looking scarier than ever, we can play more defensively and we'll be more sturdy at the back.
All right, so with Brandon's first two picks, he has defenders. Both from Carlton. Why not choose local? And obviously defending was a big issue at Ottawa last year, so it makes sense. Josh, did you follow along that path, or do you have some new positions you like Ottawa to choose?
Okay, so for my first two picks, I am going a bit in a bit of a different direction. So you know, we're in Ottawa, Carlton's town. I got to go with a Raven for my first pick. He's my only Raven that I've got, but he's my first pick. Gabby Batar, the first ever U Sports draft pick. I think he may have been the first ever player linked to a CPL team, because at the point where CPL had their first draft in 2018, there were no players announced. So Gabby Batar, when he was drafted by Cavalry, he was the first player ever linked with a CPL team. So he's got that to his name. He's been picked twice, actually, in 2018 and 2019 by Cavalry both times. He's had time with Ottawa International, OSU, the Fury FC Academy. People have known about him for a long time. He's a former U Sports Rookie of the Year. He's got the speed you want to see in a good forward, and he has no problem scoring, but he's also developed significantly on the defensive side of his game. So something I know you guys will like. I think his university career has taken a very similar path to that of Steph Karajivanovic. Like he had a ton of goals his first few years, and then he kind of added that defensive side, that defensive responsibility to his game, which, you gotta like to see. He's a leader, and coaches love his work ethic off the ball, his reaction when he gets the ball or when he loses it. Gabby gets it, he puts in the work, and coaches see that, and I think he's gonna get picked. So pick number 2. This guy, I started looking out west. And there is a lot of talent out west, and a lot that we didn't actually get to see at the U Sports National Championships in November. But he was a U Sports Player of the Year finalist. He's the only Player of the Year finalist who is available at the draft. He's Mohamed Elgandor. Now, he comes from Mount Royal, and there they call him Magic Mo. And if you got a guy in the draft who's got a nickname like Magic Mo, you draft Magic Mo. There are so many players available this year, but I think it's 162 players available. There's not many you can be confident that they're going to be drafted. I'm confident Magic Mo is going to get drafted. So like Gabby Batar, he's been drafted before by Cavalry. I guess Tommy Wild and I kind of have a similar eye for players. I don't know. But Wielden, he's watched this guy while coming up with his club team, which is Calgary Southwest United. And if he's still available when Calgary picks, like I feel like they're going to take him again if he's still available at that point. And Calgary's got a really good eye for talent in the draft. Easton Ongaro, Joel Waterman, they've come through. He's a first-team All-Canadian, obviously scored 8 goals and 3 helpers, which helps put him at the top of Canada West for both goals and points for the season. He's got fantastic technical skill and speed that exploits any defense. This guy has everything it takes to be a solid CPL player, and who knows after that point.
No, those are some great picks. I mean, We have our first pick out west. First of all, Gabby Batar, legend. Obviously, he had some experience with CPL and didn't work out, but what I saw this year, he really did improve his game, both offensively and more importantly defensively. And I think that's important for teams moving forward. And I think, like you said, he can follow the pathway of Steph and really become a star in this league. And like you said, Magic Mo. I mean, why would you want to draft a player like Magic Mo? Even when we didn't see him in Nationals, everyone still knows about him for a reason. So those are great picks. So moving on to my first two picks. First one I have, Ottawa people will know him, Jaden Vilfort, center back from the York Lions. He was part of the Ottawa Fury back in 2019 before they collapsed, and then after they did, he went to university. And his first season, COVID hit, didn't play. This season, though, he popped off. He burst into the scene. He was named the U Sports second team All-Canadian and earned OUA East All-Star honors. He started 9 games on defense in the first season and started all 3 games of the playoffs and won an OUA silver medal. And the only reason he wasn't in the Nationals is because, well, he lost to Guelph. This guy is stellar. People know him around Ottawa. People have been wanting him to sign Atletico Ottawa. And I think he's used this year in York to better his game. He's a strong, tenacious defender, and he has this air of presence around him in the back, very commanding with York. And because he grew up in Ottawa, it's a marketable player. I don't think we should take him first overall, but if he's available for the 9th overall, why not take him? We saw last year how much problem we had with the defensive depth, especially at the center back position. This is clearly a player who, once you start playing him, he's going to grow into the league and eventually just become a star there. So might as well take another Ottawa boy. Let's not make another mistake. Now for the second pick. I am so excited about this one. I need this team to take him. Mr. Cairo Core, forward for the Cape Breton Capers. I don't know, you might have seen some starting draft core. I talked about him. 19 goals in 14 games. That speaks for itself. I mean, this kid is explosive. I mean, he just has a nose for a goal, and he just finds himself in goal-scoring opportunities. And if he doesn't, he creates them himself by using his pace and his game sense knowledge. And not only can he score, he can also set his teammates on for goals. This is an all-around player who is young and has such a high ceiling that Ottawa has no risk in taking him. I mean, we can always have him as an impact sub. Someone can go play behind Brian Wright, comes on for 30 minutes, makes an impact. And he's a player that many people want, especially Halifax. And we have proof that if Halifax wants a draftee, it usually turns out good. Kareem Sow, Steph. So if that's any insight, Atletico Ottawa, take him. You have the first overall pick. On a lot of mock drafts and rankings, he's ranked top 3. It's not a reach to take him first overall. This is the player you want that can help the team and can eventually find himself in the starting lineup as the season progresses. So far, we've had a lot of center backs, a lot of defenders, and some forwards. Brandon, is that going to continue with your next 2 picks, or what's going on there?
Well, we're actually going to bring it back one time because I'm actually going in between the 6. So you talked about how Jaden Vilfort, who is an amazing center back, can even play CDM. Him and his York Lions lost in the finals, and they lost to Guelph because they have this amazing keeper by the name of Artemenko. Artemenko is the only reason Carlton didn't win OUA playoffs for Ontario. He had an 8-save shutout. I need you guys to really take that in for a second. 8-save shutout against Carlton Ravens, who we have seen they can light it up on the score sheet. So for him to be doing that is amazing. And then he passed the eye test. At the national championship, the command of his area he was the top. There wasn't even anyone close. And then he has distribution on top of that. If the manager for Atletico Ottawa wants to bring in a keeper who can play out the back, who can take charge of his 18-yard box and structure his defensive line, which at times was a problem when we pushed too high last season, you have to get Artemenko. But for my second pick now, we're going to go further up. We're going to look at a CDM who was not at the national championship, but he does have professional experience in Europe. His name is Eric Kobza, and a few of you guys might know him. Well, let me just set the scene here. So this kid is an absolute baller, but he's a CDM, so he doesn't get much praise. If you guys play Football Manager, you would know the tactical position called regista, where it's like a deep line playmaker. He fits that role amazingly, but at the same time, he is defensively solid, and he is 6'3". That is something we don't have in our midfield. That's automatic wins for headers in the midfield, breaking up tackles, and he could carry the ball out from the back line. We need a shuttler in our midfield, so he would be the perfect person to do it. And if I didn't say so already, he is playing at Calgary, so that is why we did not see him at the Nationals.
Pretty two strong picks. I mean, Artemenko is the best goalkeeper available in this draft, and actually one of the best prospects in this draft. A lot of teams could use and are looking to. And I mean, Ottawa, we currently don't have a goalkeeper right now. So,
and he already has CPL experience.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with him at all. And obviously, CDM, I love Manella, I love McKendry, but they lack height. And like you said, this team wasn't really that good with headers last season. So adding a 6'3" CDM could always help. Josh,
I'll take that.
Well, of course you will, right? What are your two next picks?
Well, first, if we do draft Artemenko, I do wanted to say I want to co-opt the Artie Party hashtag from Ottawa Sens. We are bringing that back for Let It Go.
Love that.
So for my next two picks, we're going with two center backs. Different players, but both very interesting. The first one from Mount Royal, really good program out of Calgary. Another tall guy, 6'2", Caden Rogozinski. Okay. He's a really interesting prospect. So he was named to the U Sports All Rookie team. And what first caught my eye as a rookie at center back, he didn't miss a single minute of game time. He started every game, was never subbed off, and he's 19. So over the course of the season, Mount Royal outscored teams 31-11, and Caden played a huge role in that defensive effort to allow only 11 goals. He was Mount Royal's man of the match several times, and he's also spent a ton of time at Calgary Foothills, which, as we all know, fantastic program, and such a young player that coaches trust with a lot of responsibility and playing time, and who then thrives in that role. He needs to be considered by any team looking for help on defense. Now the second player, also a center back from the University of Victoria. So we saw him at the national championships. Another tall guy, 6'2", 21 years old, so a little older than Caden. Rhys Gortzen. He's such a smart player. He looks so ready to take that next step. Now, something I wanted to take note of was the coach at UVic for decades now has been Bruce Wilson. Now, if you've been a longtime fan of the Canadian men's national team, you'll know that name because he was a fullback and captain for about a decade of the men's national team. Bruce turned 70, and in 2021, that was his last season. So when we saw him in Ottawa, we saw him coach his last game ever. He's retired. But I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Bruce and everything that he's done for Canadian soccer. We're all hoping to see Canada make it to Qatar, and Bruce led Canada on the field at our last Men's World Cup in Mexico. And wouldn't it be great if the year that he retires, we make it back to the World Cup? And when it comes to Rhys, what a fantastic coach to learn from. And Rhys has also spent time with Foothills as well as the Whitecaps residency program. So he's also a guy that's been on people's radar. He's actually a converted striker. So he has a lot of offensive ability. He's got that aspect to his game. Back in 2014, he played with Team Alberta, and he was the Golden Boot winner. But since coming to UVic, he's converted to a center back, and he's been something special. I wouldn't say he's a flashy player, but is he ever intelligent? He passes smart. He knows how to move the ball forward, and he's got a bit of swagger in front of his own net, which I love. He'll make this incredible sliding tackle and pop up like nothing happened. He's so smooth, and he's so calm and confident on and off the ball. And I could see this big center back Rhys Gortzen get picked up.
No, I remember watching him. He and Evan Lipke together were just two twin towers of just massive. And
100%.
obviously, Evan is not in the draft. Someone he can sign. But hey, this
Take his
guy
partner
is.
though.
Take his partner. Why not? No, that's a
That
very
would be
strong
a
pick.
center back partnership we'd love to see. And they both can score some headers for corners, which we did lack.
For sure.
Yeah, I think Ottawa's missing some defense. So those two last picks, I don't know.
Yeah. Moving on to mine. We've had a lot of defenders in this video. Understandable. Defense was the biggest issue, right? Now, obviously, Capital City has Tom wrote an article saying should Ottawa use their 2 picks on defenders? No. Brandon and I
Not a
both said
chance.
no. Yes, I know there's a lot of defenders we've listed here, but at the same time, there's a lot of good attackers. And one I'm going to mention, Jeremy Menard from Laval, University of Laval. He was a beast. This man is 6'2". Laval just got very unlucky in the Nationals. They lost early and obviously couldn't make it to the finals. But if they won the first game, they could have been national champions. And this man was scoring goals. A beast, a powerful striker, what you need. 6'2", that's not something to laugh at. He finds himself in the box, the ball finds its way to him, and when not, he just bullies his way through it. And not only that, he can obviously lay it off to teammates. Again, it's a striker to look at. We do have a role to fill there with Lawson leaving, Telfer leaving. There's attacking threats that we need. We can't rely on Shaw and Wright only. And the youth is a great place to look at. Unfortunately, he is 22, so he won't count towards the U21 minutes. That's the only downside of this. However, if you're looking at it long term, this is a player who can develop into something really good. I'll look at him, Jeremy Menard. Now, my next player also will not count towards the U21 minutes, not by a long shot, because he's 27, turning 28 this year. Plays for Carlton Ravens, Mitchell O'Brien. Now, he's listed as a defender officially, but for most of the season and for most of the Nationals, he was playing as a CDM. He's 27, 28. He's an adult. And what I saw was very impressive. He bullies his way, owns the midfield, but can also dictate passing plays, long balls, through balls. But the best part is, because he's listed as a defender, he grew up playing defense, you can stick him right in the defense. And he won't be bullied off, right? So, draft him, immediate use, right? Maybe he'll take some time to adapt to CPL, but he will probably have the shortest time of adapting to the league compared to other defenders who are younger. Brandon, your last pick. Who do you got?
Just want to go on record and saying, yeah, I agree with that last pick, because he could become a ball-playing defender that we do not have. But for my last pick, I'm going out west to UVic to select Ian Whibley. And if you guys were there at Nationals, you would have been like, why is Wayne Rooney playing on UVic? This guy has the same exact build as Wayne Rooney, plays the same sort of position when he was like in Everton. He plays as a sort of second striker, and he was just feeding balls in through to Isaac Coach, and he was scoring at will. Those two had a great partnership, and I'm looking at someone who can replace Brian Wright if he's ever injured. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen. Or if he comes subbed off, at least you have a like-for-like replacement who can hold up the ball, and he's very good in tight spaces, find a pass in the final third, and he could also put it away. He had 6 goals and 4 assists, and that's just in league play during the season.
That's a strong pick. I remember, yeah, he was impressive. I remember our Wayne Rooney comments. No offense to him if he takes any offense. I don't know why you would. It's Wayne Rooney. It's the GOAT of England. Josh, what's your last pick?
Okay, so Brandon's last pick. I don't know a lot about Ian Whibley, but I do know a lot of fans out in the West, and they love Ian Whibley. So that is a fantastic pick from everything that I've heard. From my last pick, we all love Matteo Dubrienne. I don't think that's a big secret, but he's not available. There's another player who's got that vibe. Christian Cj Rossi out of Trinity Western was the U Sports Rookie of the Year, and with no 2020 season, I thought, there was twice the number of players eligible to be Rookie of the Year this time around. So my thinking is that that's an even more impressive award to win in 2021, right? Trinity Western has a fantastic program. They produced Joel Waterman, Jake Ruby, Elijah Adekugbe, just to name a few. And while Trinity was a fairly low scoring team this year, CJ led them with 5 goals and was influential in more than half of the 17 goals that they scored this season. He's a guy who seems like he has just like the drive to make it. Like his coach, Mike Sheeran, said, like with the COVID break, that he used that time to put a ton of extra work into the game. And he was amazing this year because of it. And the more I looked at Rossi, the more I saw similarities to Matteo Debrienne. He's dynamic. He's got huge potential and does not stop working or running, which I think we all recognize from watching the Ravens. And he'll be the first man on the attack and the first man back to help defend. So like that's a guy you want on your team and to help play a role in developing. So if you're looking for a Matteo Debrienne type player, Cj Rossi out of Trinity Western is your man.
I like that. I think fans will like that. For my last pick, obviously we had one goalie, Artie Party, but if he's gone, which is a good chance he is, there's another goalie there who Ottawa should look at. George Zimas from York Lions. Ontario produces some very good goalies here. So he started 9 games and allowed 4 goals, while making 33 saves, including 13 in a draw with the defending champions Ravens. He led the OUA in save percentage, .892, and was second in goals against average, 0.46. Artie Party, Artie Party, we know. He's the second best. And Ottawa, we need goalies. There's always talk about should we have a third goalie. We don't know what's happening in the Obadal. Right now, nothing's set in stone. This guy is a beauty. I remember how frustrated I was with him when York played Carlton for a reason. This guy is good. And because of Ottawa's uncertainty with the goalkeeping future, if we need to, by the 9th overall pick, this is someone I would be unhappy with taking. So, George Zimas, goalkeeper Lions, second goalkeeper on this list. But now, time's running out. Out of the list we have, each one of us can take one player we want to let go Ottawa to draft. One certain player. I'll start it off, because I know. It's Cairo Core. Mateo's not available. Cairo is the next person. He's ranked top 3 in so many rankings I'm seeing. He has a nose for goal. 19 goals in 14 games. He was dominating in Nationals too. The name was over and over repeated. He's a player that's going to be good. He's going to be stellar in this league. It reminds me of Steph. We don't make the same mistake. You have good players available. Take them. You don't want them biting you in the butt again. Kyra Core, draft Core. Let's go.
Well, I'm actually a pretty wild character, but I do agree with Cairo going very high on this list. But I'm actually going to go with Artemenko. He's already played with Valor at the age of 18. And it takes a long time to develop goalies, but if he's just a step below CPL level and he's won the League One Goalkeeper of the Year, he's ready for that next step at the age of 21. So give this guy a few years. He's going to be shipped off to either a very good MLS team or going abroad. I guarantee it. We could get some transfer funds, or he can make an impact in the first or second year.
Matt, you can't complain about that pick either. Josh.
Well, I didn't know we'd have to pick just one at the end of this thing.
It's a little capital city, you know,
That's how we
trickery.
get you.
That's how we get you here.
That's how you get me. Man, okay. I mean, there are so many quality players, but if I got to pick just one, you got to pick with the star you know, and that's Gabby Batar. If you're Ottawa, we've watched this guy play for 3 seasons now, I think, and he's gotten better and better. He's added dimensions to his game. You know he can score. You know he's got the defensive side now. People want him. People have seen him. People want him. People have seen him develop. Coaches love him. You want players coaches love, and coaches love Gabby Batar. That is a strong pick, and if given the chance in the CPL, he's going to make a name for himself. Gabby Batar is my guy.
I like that. Well, folks, this was your Capital City Draft Sports Group Draft Special. Obviously, the draft is on Thursday, January 20th, 8 p.m. Make sure to tune in to see who Atletico Ottawa watches. And after the draft is done, check Twitter for a Twitter Space Capital City Hot Stove, where we will be discussing who Ottawa picks and giving our initial thoughts and maybe the thoughts about the whole draft. So make sure to check us out on all our socials. Make sure to check the Stepover podcast for great content throughout the year. He's a great guy. Can I go on against you, please? I know Brandon needs to go. He ditched last time. But
I got called into work last minute.
Yeah, make your excuses.
Unbelievable.
We'll see you on Thursday. Draft Core, Draft Batar, Draft Artemeco. You can't really go wrong with whoever we listed.
Can't go wrong.
I can't wait. I love seeing youth sports players enter the league. Vamos Aleti. We'll catch you guys later.